Neelan's story. Hello everyone, my name is Neelan, and today I'd like to share a little story about my job. I'm an assistant to a cameraman at a television studio. It may not sound like the biggest role, but every single day I learn something new, and I truly enjoy being part of the team. This morning, I woke up to the sound of heavy rain tapping against my window. The sky was covered with dark gray clouds, and the streets outside looked wet and shiny. I grabbed my umbrella, packed my backpack, and headed to work. The rain didn't stop, but I didn't let it ruin my mood. I actually love rainy days. They make everything feel calm, peaceful, and a little magical. When I arrived at the studio, everyone was already busy preparing for today's shoot. Bright lights were being tested, microphones were checked, and cameras were lined up and ready. As the cameraman's assistant, my first job was to help carry the camera equipment. I carefully checked the batteries, cleaned the camera lens with a soft cloth, and made sure every cable was in the right place. Good morning, Neelan, my cameraman smiled. Good morning. Everything is ready, I replied. He nodded with a smile. Great job. Today will be a busy day. Watching professional cameras in action always amazes me. Every button has a purpose. Every angle tells a story. And every scene depends on teamwork. Before filming started, I helped adjust the camera tripod and organized the extra lenses on a nearby table. I also made sure the memory cards had enough storage for the day's recording. Outside the studio windows, the rain continued to fall. Tiny raindrops slid down the glass, creating beautiful patterns. For a moment, I stood quietly and watched. The cameraman noticed me looking outside. Rainy days are perfect for storytelling, he said. I smiled because I agreed. Every movie, documentary, and television show begins with people working together behind the scenes. The audience usually sees the actors, but there are many hardworking people helping from behind the camera. That's one of the reasons I love my job. I may not appear on screen, but I know I'm helping create something meaningful. Soon, the director called everyone together. Places, everyone. We're filming in 5 minutes. The studio instantly became quiet. I carefully handed the camera to the cameraman, checked the focus one last time, and stepped back. The red recording light turned on. The cameras started rolling. As I watched the scene unfold, I realized something important. Every successful production isn't created by just one person. It's built by a team that trusts one another, works hard, and never gives up, even on rainy days. I smiled quietly and thought to myself, one day, I hope to become a professional camerawoman. Until then, I'll keep learning something new every single day. The cameras were rolling, and everyone inside the studio was completely focused on their work. Even though the rain outside was getting heavier, nothing could stop our production. As the assistant cameraman, I stayed close to the equipment. I carefully watched the cables to make sure no one would trip over them. Whenever the cameraman needed a different lens, I handed it to him as quickly as I could. Nice job, Neelan, he said with a smile. Thank you. I'm learning from the best, I replied. A few minutes later, the director asked for another camera angle. We quickly moved the tripod to a new position. I helped adjust the height and locked the legs securely. Ready? The cameraman asked. Ready? I answered confidently. The actors performed their scenes perfectly. But suddenly, the studio lights flickered because of the strong rain outside. For a moment, everyone became silent. The technical team immediately checked the power system while the backup generator turned on. Within seconds, the lights were shining brightly again. The director smiled. Excellent teamwork. Let's continue. Everyone clapped and filming resumed without any problems. Watching everyone stay calm during an unexpected situation taught me an important lesson. In this job, teamwork and quick thinking are just as important as using the camera. During our short lunch break, I stood near the studio entrance and watched the rain fall. The cool breeze felt refreshing after working under the bright studio lights. The cameraman joined me. You know, Neelan, he said, being a good assistant isn't just about carrying equipment. It's about paying attention, solving problems, and always being ready. His words stayed in my mind. I realized that every small task I completed was helping me become better every day. The rain had stopped, but the weather was still cool and cloudy. As I arrived at work, I noticed that everyone was already preparing for a special interview. I greeted my teammates with a smile. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Neelan, they replied. The cameraman handed me today's schedule. We're filming a live interview this afternoon. We need everything to be perfect. I nodded confidently. Don't worry, I'll make sure all the equipment is ready. I immediately checked the cameras, cleaned every lens, charged the batteries, and prepared the microphones. I also organized the cables so no one would accidentally trip during the live broadcast. The studio slowly became busier. The host reviewed her script while the guests practiced their introductions. The director carefully watched every preparation. Just before the interview started, I noticed that one of the camera batteries was almost empty. Without wasting any time, I quickly replaced it with a fully charged battery. The cameraman smiled. Great catch, Neelan. You saved us. Hearing those words made me feel proud. I realized that paying attention to small details could make a big difference. A few minutes later, the director counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live. The red light on the camera turned on. Everyone stayed focused. The interview went smoothly. The host asked interesting questions, and the guests answered with confidence. Behind the cameras, our entire team worked together quietly and professionally. I watched the cameraman carefully adjust every angle. Every movement was smooth and precise. I hoped that one day I could operate a camera just like him. When the interview finally ended, everyone applauded. "Excellent work, team," the director said happily. The cameraman looked at me. "You've improved so much, Neelan. Your hard work is paying off." I couldn't stop smiling. "Thank you. I'll keep learning every day." Before going home, I stood inside the empty studio for a moment. The bright lights were slowly turning off, and the cameras were safely packed away. I looked around and whispered, "Every day in this studio teaches me something new." I'm still an assistant today, but one day I'll become a professional camerawoman and help tell amazing stories through my camera. With hope in my heart and a smile on my face, I packed my bag and walked out of the studio, excited for another adventure tomorrow.